Salamat berjumpa lagi. I'm Dalton Tanonaka of the Indonesia channel at the Asean Secretariat in Jakarta.
Salam sejahtera and welcome to ASEAN Today. I'm Raymond Goh of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur, and this is your monthly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. We begin here in Malaysia, where families are still dealing with the ongoing investigation into the crash of flight MH17. The latest news is that pieces of the Malaysia Air jet arrived in Kharkiv on November 24th. This comes 4 months after the plane was shot down in eastern Ukraine. The cause of the disaster that killed 298 people is the subject of major diplomatic dispute between Ukraine and pro-Russia separatists. This portion of the investigation is being handled by independent experts from the Netherlands. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte visited his Malaysia counterpart on November 5th, saying Malaysia should be allowed to take part in the crash investigation.
We have to ascertain what truly happened to the plane beyond any doubt whatsoever. We have knowledge, we have preliminary knowledge, but that knowledge has to be backed with solid forensic evidence.
Both countries have strong economic ties, as Netherlands is the second largest Eurozone investor in Malaysia. The majority owner in Malaysia Airlines parent group backed a $420 million bid to take the failing carrier private. State fund Khazanah Nasional owns a 69.4% stake in the carrier. A meeting on November 5th in Kuala Lumpur ended with 94% of the votes in favor of Khazanah's offer in a restructuring plan to return the company back to profitability. The plan includes injecting $1.8 billion, cutting routes and trimming 6,000 jobs by July next year.
108 peacekeepers from the Philippines were declared free of the Ebola virus after 21 days of pre-departure quarantine in Liberia. They then went to Caballo Island in Manila Bay for 21 more days of quarantine. The Philippines has decided to halt the deployment of its troops to the West African nation during the crisis surrounding the Ebola outbreak, ending more than a decade of peacekeeping work under the United Nations. Thousands in the Philippines took part in memorial walks to mark 1 year after devastating Typhoon Haiyan. Crowds marched on November 8th as church bells pealed and sirens wailed across the central Philippine city of Tacloban. The powerful typhoon left more than 7,300 people dead or missing. More than 4 million people were displaced, many still living in temporary shelters. 2 weeks later, demonstrators took part in a candle lighting ceremony in Manila to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the Guindanao massacre. 58 people were killed, 32 of the victims journalists. The trial over the murders is still in progress with no ruling in sight.
Myanmar's opposition leader says she remains confident in her country's reformation process. Aung San Suu Kyi stood alongside US President Barack Obama on November 14th following the East Asia Summit. Obama said there's a need for further reform in Myanmar's move toward democracy. Suu Kyi was released 4 years ago after more than 2 decades of confinement, now a member of parliament. Supporters are fighting to change the law that bars her from running for president. She thanked her fellow Nobel Prize winner for his support.
A U.S.-based international medical team made its latest mission to Korong on the main island of southwest Cambodia. This group was made up of 13 doctors and focused on women's health and reproductive care. A total of 557 people were treated, representing a quarter of the Korong population. This year's medical mission is the second installment of a 5-year agreement with the International Medical Relief Group. A company in Cambodia producing silk is reviving traditional techniques lost during the long years of conflict. ASEAN Today's Andito Winda reports.
A silk farm owned by the Gold Peach Company was found in 2002, owned by Om Sofia Peach. It is located at Siem Reap, 30 kilometers from the temples at Angkor. Peach was inspired by a photo of the Khmer Royal Brocatelle, another name for the golden silk from the 19th century. It was first made for the royal court, based in Angkor. The craft disappeared under the Khmer Rouge era in the late 1970s.
dans le but en fait de préserver le savoir, la culture du mûrier et du verre à soie khmer, d'essence khmer, et aussi redonner ce savoir khmer qui est disparu pendant les guerres.
With more than 100 workers, she produces golden silk using closely guarded secrets of fabrication used for generations. The entire process starts with breeding healthy yellow silkworms called Bombyx mori. It's fed twice a day with freshly chopped mulberry leaves. As they grow, they attach themselves to a surface and spin a golden-colored cocoon. The cocoon's then boiled, killing the silkworms inside, and the thread is spun out onto the wheel. Silk thread then tied into patterns dyed in a variety of colors. It inspired by bas-relief sculptures at Angkor Wat and nearby Bante Asray.
Nous, en tant que, je veux dire, on est parti de rien, on n'a pas de connaissances et on a une formation de base très limitée, mais avec cette passion, cette force de croire qu'on peut arriver, ben, nous sommes arrivés enfin à produire à partir de n'importe quel motif maintenant, tous les dessins qui nous seront remis pour le faire, on peut tout le répliquer en fait.
The golden cocoon contains a much lower thread than generic white silkworm cocoons. It takes about 100 kilograms of cocoons that fed on 1,500 kilograms mulberry leaves to produce only 10 kilograms of golden silk thread. Some take years to weave dresses that can sell from about $10,000 to more than $20,000 each. Despite of the hefty price tag, Peach's order book is full until the end of the year. Anita Winda for ASEAN Today.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
Should ASEAN do away with the death penalty? That's what a visiting UN expert says. He's in the hot seat next.
The Best of Bali, only on the Indonesia Channel.
The Indonesia Channel is the country's first 24-hour English TV channel. And it's cool, offering a stylish mix of entertainment and news programs created for viewers around the world. You'll see the latest fashion trends in the world's fourth most populous country, play executive golf with host Lorraine Hahn, plus movies, dramas, and travel, all on the Indonesia Channel for the world to see.
Indonesia opens up my heart, unforgettable. Love is just the start. Indonesia,
Indonesia Channel for the world to see. Passion for fashion, only on the Indonesia Channel.
You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Raymond Goh in Kuala Lumpur.
And I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. The death penalty is an issue that raises conflict and emotions. The Indonesia Channel's Prisma Kinanti talked recently with Christoph Haynes of the United Nations in Jakarta. He is an international expert on capital punishment.
What is the trend on the ASEAN region to continue conducting death penalty? What have been the biggest drivers for ASEAN countries to continue conducting death penalty?
Yes, I think one should mention from the start that the trend worldwide is really away from the death penalty. Fewer and fewer states have the death penalty. Fewer and fewer states actually execute. And if we include China, where we're not 100% sure about the figures, but all indications are that they are seriously cutting down on the number of people who are executed. One can also say that the number of individuals who are executed worldwide is going down. And that same trend we see in ASEAN and many other parts of the world. There's still a number of, within ASEAN, more or less half of the states still retain the death penalty and still execute. So I think there's still a lot to be addressed, but generally the trend is away from the death penalty. The largest states executing in the world would be Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Pakistan, the US. ASEAN is not the part of the world where most executions take place.
Okay. Now, some ASEAN countries such as the Philippines and Cambodia and also Myanmar have already abolished the death penalty back in a couple of years. Now, do you think this is a good progress for the ASEAN region to move forward abolishing the death penalty?
Yes, and ASEAN as a whole in 2012 had no executions. So as you mentioned, in particular states, the Philippines, I think there were 1,230 people on death row, and all of them were changed to life imprisonment. These are positive developments in line with the international community. Different states move at different times. It seems to me clear that the whole trend is away, a little bit like with slavery, that at some point we're going to ask ourselves, did we really have that punishment?
How can ASEAN countries work together, to abolish to abolish the execution of death penalty in the region?
Well, ASEAN is going to do a study into the death penalty and the right to life next year, and I think that's very encouraging to learn from each other. Half of the states in the region have abolished the death penalty, and I think their examples, the ones that you've mentioned, are good examples to be used by other states as well. And to see that although people may think intuitively that the death penalty has a particular deterrent effect, that the skies don't fall and all of a sudden everything goes wrong if there's no death penalty. So the states that have moved first are often a good point of reference for the states that may take longer to move.
Okay, last question here. What are your recommendations for ASEAN member states to reform the policy of death penalty?
Well, I think one should accept that in some cases it takes some time. The first step is probably a moratorium. I think it's also important to make sure that there's better policing, because that's really the deterrent, is the fact that people get caught and get punished. It's not the severity of the punishment. And the death penalty is almost off the radar kind of punishment. But it creates a false sense of security. A real sense of security is brought about by better policing. So I do think that that's an important area to focus on.
Indonesia executed 5 people in 2013. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
We catch up with fishermen in the Philippines 1 year after Typhoon Haiyan, and then we take a walk on the ocean floor in Indonesia. That's all ahead.
The Best of Bali, only on the Indonesia Channel. Passion for Fashion, only on the Indonesia Channel.
Indonesia's first 24-hour English TV channel is here, with an exciting mix of programming to inform and entertain viewers around the world. The Indonesia Channel offers something for everyone, from world-class lifestyle shows like Yoga Bliss to the hottest music hits and artists on iPop. News and information are an important part of the Indonesia Channel, with Today's Indonesia and Asean Today providing what you need to know. International hosts such as Lorraine Han, Jamie Aditya, Caitlin Turner, and Dalton Tanonakap are among the faces you'll see. Movies, dramas, travel, and more are all on the Indonesia Channel for the world to see.
iPop is your guide for Indonesian music videos and Indonesian artists. Want to see Indonesian artists? Watch iPop playlist.
This is ASEAN Today.
And we're coming to you this month from Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur. It has been a year since Typhoon Haiyan devastated the Philippines. Fishermen still struggling to recover are getting help from groups providing non-traditional tools. ASEAN Today's Luisa Kusnanda has more.
In November 2013, a 7-meter storm surges from the Typhoon Haiyan swept across the beach of Leyte Island in the Philippines. More than 7,300 people died and went missing after the most ferocious typhoon on record to hit the land. Estimated 30,000 boats were destroyed by the typhoon. Worldwide Fund Philippines launched a Bankers for the Philippines earlier this year, introducing an alternative kind of boat with a hope to help rebuild infrastructure and limit the country's dependence on wood as a boat building material. They train local fishermen and boat builders from areas to build vessels from fiberglass. They combine a honey-like resin with fiberglass mat made of tiny glass fibers and apply layers to this on a mold of a boat.
And we feel that this is simply the next step forward, both out of necessity and out of practicality, to use fiberglass rather than wood and plywood. And also something that is essentially more ecologically sound.
Most of the fishermen were doubtful for the technology because of the funny-looking process.
One question that comes to mind when you've never seen a fiberglass boat is it strong enough? Will it be able to take the day-to-day abuse that the traditional boats have proven to be capable of taking? And it looks almost too pretty because it has a very glossy surface finish. So the tendency is to think, it won't last.
To test the boat's durability, the trainees are given a sledgehammer to try and punch a hole on the side of the boat to show them afterwards how to repair the hull should it get damaged. It is an eye-opener and made the trainees believe. Among the beneficiaries who receive a fiberglass boat is Norberto de la Torre, who prefers fiberglass to wooden boats.
Ang masasabi ko, yung fiberglass matibay sa tubig, yung kahoy nabubulok sa tubig. Lalong-lalo na kung halimbawa may mga putik, madaling kapitan ng bruma.
WWF's project was targeted at the small-scale fishermen with hope with their new skills. The trainees can continue the practice of building fiberglass bankers and also created larger bankers of their own design. Luisa Kusnandar for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. The English rock band Bastille will play on January 3rd at the Hard Rock Hotel in Singapore. The KL Light Festival Showcase will shine from January 11th to the 17th in Medan Pasar in Malaysia. And the Dinagyang Festival is set for January 25th in Iloilo City in the Philippines. Indonesia's Island of the Gods offers a unique and unforgettable underwater experience. ASEAN Today's Janice Leo takes us for a seawalker dive off Bali.
Seawalker is an amazing underwater experience where you can walk on the ocean floor and interact with marine life. It's only over in certain places such as Japan, Australia, and Sanur, a coastal stretch of beach in Denpasar City on Indonesia's island of Bali. Seawalker might be a better option for beginners than diving, as participants don't need any qualifications or special training. Also, don't worry if you can't swim, as many people have made Seawalker their first experience in the ocean. During the activity, you always be accompanied by professional instructors. Anyone between the ages of 9 and 70 can try it.
Actually really enjoyed the time when I was there during the Seawalker time. At that point of time, I really was actually as if I'm stepping into a big gigantic aquarium. So it was really like a great experience, seeing all the fishes in different colors, all up close and right in front of you.
Participants take a 3-minute boat ride from the beach to the Seawalker station. After reaching the spot, they're given special oxygen helmets that enable them to breathe underwater. The helmet also keeps your head dry and allows you to wear glasses or contact lenses. Stairs are provided to reach the bottom of the sea, where you can experience the beautiful marine life. For 30 minutes at a depth of 5 meters, you can feed the fish, learn about marine life, and interact with coral reefs. Prices range from $75 to $85 for adults and $59 to $69 for children. Janice Liu for ASEAN Today.
It is feedback time, and we enjoy hearing your comments from the ASEAN region and throughout the world. Joining us with this month's comments, as always good to see her, is Duridi Sirichanya of the ASEAN Secretariat. Dee, what are people saying?
A lot of positive feedback this month, Dalton. Abby said this on Twitter. After watching ASEAN Today, I think it's too short. Glad you want more, Abby. Riska tweeted this. Watching ASEAN Today makes us want to know more about the events and interesting places in member countries. And this tweet from Fee came in reaction to our story on snake massages in the Philippines. Oh, too scary! But relaxing, say those who got the python treatment. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com to post or suggest a program topic, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEAN Today TV. And that's all for this month, Dalton.
All right, Dee, thank you very much, and happy holidays to you.
Thank you, and same to you.
All right, Raymond.
Dalton and Dee, a world record was set in Thailand that's going to be tough to beat. These participants gathered outside a Bangkok mall to try to set the mark for the largest number of Santa's elves. And they did it, 1,762 people dressed up in Christmas colors and pointy hats. That beat the record set in the UK by 600 elves. The participants were mostly young people and mall workers. That's ASEAN Today for this month. I'm Raymond Goh of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur.
And I'm Dalton Tanonaka of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Terima kasih, and see you again next month.